All right, Greg, our first question for this week will come from Travis Hines of the Ames Tribune. Go ahead, Travis.
Hey, Greg, I think you guys talked about after the Oklahoma game, in early October, about not letting that be, a high point of the season. And obviously you guys have been able to do that. What was the key to not letting that, be a defining moment, but one on the way to where you got?
Yeah, I think just viewing it as just another game, another win, and what we do with that is we just still go back, find our corrections, and figure out the mistakes we made, the things we did good, and just figuring out how we can keep improving one day at a time. And that's really what we did, and that's been our focus all season. And it's really helped us out.
I think when guys talk about one game at a time and just keep getting better, sometimes that comes off as cliche, but when you look at what you guys have done this year, even going back to how you responded to the Louisiana loss, how much is that just your guys' mindset and philosophy and really making it reality?
Yeah, I think with this team here, we kind of have veterans that, have been in that situation. These last couple years, we've kind of been riding that yo-yo of getting high with the high and low with the lows, and understanding that, we can't do that anymore. And so I think, it's just the veteranness on this team and the leadership able to just, kind of keep everybody focused and understanding the bigger picture of it. We no longer get really excited over the big wins or any of that stuff. We just try to take it one day at a time, and that's kind of, like I said, just really been our focus.
Our next question comes from Mark Freund of WHO. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Greg, I think this may have already been asked of you at some point over the last couple of weeks, maybe not, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your hometown is some 20 minutes from Dallas. What's it like for you to know you get to go home and play the biggest game in Iowa State's history kind of on your home turf?
Yeah, it's big time for me. I remember when I committed here, seeing that the Big 12 championship game is played in the AT&T Stadium, and that was at that point I was like, man, we got to go do that before I leave. That's what I want to accomplish here, and so it's huge. Being able to say that I was able to play there or able to get this opportunity, especially my senior season. It's big and kind of makes me reminisce on just the journey. And I was able to play 2 games at the AT&T Stadium in high school, so for me it's gonna almost kind of feel like being back in high school again, and just reminiscing on the memories and kind of the football career that I've had up to this point. So I think it's huge.
I was going to ask if you'd ever played there before, but I know the game hasn't been played yet, but can you envision another experience that might be more special to you than the one upcoming this Saturday?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not at the moment. Yeah, it's just gonna be it'll definitely be a memory that I'll cherish forever. But it's I'm just kind of speechless, just being in this position and having this opportunity. But there's still work to be done. So just keep it at that.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Randy Peterson, the Des Moines Register. Go ahead, Randy.
Greg, along those same lines, how did you fare when you played at AT&T?
Right now I'm 0-2, so hoping to change that. We lost they were both playoff games. It was my first year. It was my junior season. We played Euless Trinity, and we were up big time at halftime, and they slowly crept their way back, and they won off a last-second field goal. And then my senior year, we beat Trinity, first round of the playoffs. So the team we lost to the previous year, we beat them. And then so we got a trip to the AT&T Stadium again against Denton Ryan. And we lost. It was like a high-scoring game. I think we lost by 7. But so 2 tough losses in that stadium. So, we'll see.
So what was it like playing in that stadium?
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Just a different environment. It's a cool environment. Big stadium. The big screen is huge, and but Like I said, I think just being in that stadium and having that experience with the guys is something that I'll just remember forever.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Ben Visser of the Cedar Rapids Gazette. Go ahead, Ben.
Hey, Greg. Coach Campbell has talked a lot this season about putting his ego aside and everyone putting their egos aside. And I asked John Haycock about that last week, and he said, yeah, Coach Campbell, I mean, he met with all the coaches, and they decided to make some changes. Coach Haycock actually compared it to the defense making its change a couple years back. How have you seen the coaches or coaching philosophy change in this last offseason and season?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just been the willingness to really listen and understand the input that players might have. I think it's hard because our coaching staff is a great coaching staff, and they've had a great deal of success, and they've been doing this for a really long time. But so it's hard for them to maybe change philosophies or see or understand what maybe some players might be saying, and even for us players, it's understanding where they're coming from. And I think just to have the humility to have those conversations from coach to player, player to coach, so we can all be on the same page and move in the same direction. And like I said, it was never anything bad. It was just, we've talked about this, like we're trying to go from good to great, so we're trying to nitpick and find those little areas where we can do that. And, I think within having a lot of those conversations with coaches and Campbell and from player to player, it's all of us getting on the same page and seeing where we can improve as a team. And I think that's really has helped us tremendously down this stretch.
For sure. You mentioned nitpicking a little bit, and both Campbell and Haycock brought up meetings, and they kind of changed how meetings are structured or when they're held or something like that. How can a meeting make a difference?
And I think it all goes back to what I said about just communication. Just being able to give and receive communication to the best of our ability from coach to player and player to coach. And I think structuring the meetings to do that plays a big role in that. We only have a certain amount of time, limited time, and so I think it's passing along information, passing along important information to the best of our ability. And I think structuring the meetings around that is really what helps us in that sense.
And then last thing for me, have you ever had a coach or coaching staff that's willing to take maybe some constructive criticism or anything like that, or take your ideas as a player?
Yeah, we have that here. Like I said, Campbell's all ears when it comes to that stuff. He's almost like he's always in our face about what do you guys think, or where can we improve. And I think that's big. If it gives players the feeling that we have a voice and we have a say so. And sometimes we spit out ideas and then he'll reject it, but in the sense that we all understand and that we all agree and that we can all move forward on it. So but I think that's huge. And even our positional coaches and offense and defensive coordinators, really everybody on this staff is able to listen and understand, and I think that's big.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Michael Swain of Cyclone Alert and 247 Sports. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, Greg. When you look at what Spencer Rattler has done this season, when you look at maybe from that first game when you guys played him in October to now, how have you seen him develop?
Yeah, he's a young guy, and I think you see him start to get comfortable, starting to, just each game he seems more and more like a veteran quarterback, and I think that's big. You kind of expect that, and just kind of making his reads and delivering and being more comfortable in the pocket, and you can tell he's really understanding the offense, and he's just improving each game, it seems like. And you would kind of expect that from a freshman quarterback with his type of talent.
And obviously Oklahoma got Ramondre Stevens back after you guys played them. What has he maybe brought to their run game and to their offense from what you've seen on film?
Yeah, he's a big back, but he can also he's very elusive for his size. So I think that's just another tool into their toolbox. I think he kind of helps with that running back rotation, just giving guys breaks. But he's a big guy, really hard to tackle and bring down. So I just think it adds a whole another dimension to their offense.
Thank you.
And that's all we have for you this week, Greg. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Next up, we have tight end Charlie Kolar.
As Charlie comes to the podium, a reminder, if you have a question, please use the raise hand button in the participants panel.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Charlie, we're good. Our first question for you this week will come from Jenny Carlson of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey, Charlie, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, I was talking to Matt about this a little bit ago. You were part of that very first full year of recruiting that he and his coaches did up there at Ames. I'm wondering, from your perspective, what was it about the vision and all that they laid out that resonated with you and ultimately convinced you to become a Cyclone?
Yeah, starts with Campbell and it bleeds to the rest of the guys and the staff. But I believe, the plan they had and the culture that they were trying to create, it sounded different in a lot of places other places. And also, no one wanted me, so that made it easy too. But no, like I said, like they had everyone when you're recruiting, it's all sunshine and roses. But you can kind of see the Iowa State coaches really care about all their players, and they're committed to creating what they talked about, the culture a lot. And so yeah, that was a big process, and also I didn't have that many options. So I believed them, and it was here.
This is going to sound like a terrible lead into a question, but I was talking to your mother.
That's all right.
And she said that the tight end group that you were going to be a part of was one of the things that really appealed to you as well, just as far as personalities and academics and all that sort of thing. What role did those guys in specific have for you?
Yeah, well, if it was my mom answering the questions, I know it was much longer than that answer. But they do it. I was Chase hosted me. I was with Dylan too in the visit, and they're just those two guys, also the older guys in the room. Especially I learned a lot from seeing Buck during Harms, and they were a group that really cared about each other. That was a group that wasn't playing a lot. Just starting to get more reps. But it was a group that I felt like it was a group I wanted to be a part of, and wanted to keep help pushing forward the way they fought for each other and the way they cared for each other. But also they would care about each other just as much outside of football. I thought that was really cool. And that whole group, I think is a testament to this team.
Lastly, I know obviously you're focused primarily on what's ahead of you, but to think about the road that you've come through, like you said, it's not a ton of offers scholarship wise, and now here you are playing for a Big 12 championship with this program that, like you said, it was that vision from Matt. How do you sort of wrap your brain around that?
Yeah, it's really cool. I remember watching the Big 12 championship game in high school and stuff. I remember watching it when I was younger too, when they used to have the actual 12 teams. And it's super cool. It's an opportunity to create history. But at the end of the day, we're trying to do our best to treat it like another game, because at the end of the day, it is another game. It's 60 minutes. It's 11v11. It's 53 yards wide. It's the same thing it always is. So it's a really good football team we're playing. We're preparing our best and look forward to a good game.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yep.
Our next question comes from Travis Hines of the Ames Tribune. Go ahead, Travis.
Hey, Charlie, after you guys beat Oklahoma back in October, you talked about afterwards how it was extra special for you. And I was just curious, what are your thoughts and what it means for you now to have a rematch, with what's at stake on Saturday?
Yeah, I was really excited when I found out we were playing OU, because they're a really good football team. They're coached well. They have good players. They play hard. And so, regardless of who it is, I love it because it's a big game. And if you want to, I mean, they've won the Big 12 the last few years in a row, and so if you want to win the Big 12, you got to beat OU, and so that's what our task is on Saturday, and so obviously I'm really excited for the game, but also regardless of who it is, it's a big game, and we're just focused on ourselves, try to do how to do what's best we can to prepare and try to make it so we are ready to go, healthy as possible, prepared as possible on Saturday. So when 11 o'clock comes up, we're ready to go out there and play our best football against a good football team.
How have you guys been able to manage the ups and downs of this season? I mean, specifically going, losing that opener and then winning a game like Oklahoma a few weeks later, and really just have been steady, week in and week out for the most part.
Yeah, people talk about not getting too high with the highs and low with the lows, and it's especially true in football because every game is so like when there's football you only have 10, 12 games, whatever. Basketball you have 30, 50, 80, depending on what league you're playing in. So football, each game is so huge of an emotional swing, and so it's important to enjoy it and live it and love it, not just be a robot, but also be able to flush it the next week. Our coaches, they have a good saying talking about playing with emotion, not playing emotionally, because you want to enjoy it, because you only get one life and you want to enjoy the journey. But at the same time, is that once that game's over, enjoy it, learn from it, and then move on to the next one. So I think the coaches do a good job of instilling that in us. I think our leaders in this team have done a good job. So I think it stems from the coaches and the leaders, and I think it's how you have to play to be successful.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our next question comes from Max Olson of The Athletic. Go ahead, Max.
Charlie, I asked this because I hear you're one of the best. What are the keys to a good Matt Campbell impersonation?
Man. Well, first of all, the reality of it is that you have to start every sentence with the reality of it is. And then once you finish the sentence, you'll finally figure out what you're going to say. But no, I obviously he gives great. He's a really great speaker, public speaker, post-game, pre-game, he does a really good job. But the thing about Campbell, sometimes we'll side bet the speeches. We'll place like an over/under on how long it's going to be and stuff, and see how it's going to be. But it's funny. The thing is, like, the only you asked the question, but the thing is, the only way we're allowed to joke about it and stuff is because like the respect and love we have for him. We wouldn't be able to make fun of him as much as we do if he wasn't didn't care about us so much, and we didn't because the thing is, I love messing with him, but also I play hard for Coach Campbell. I know everyone plays hard. Everyone loves playing for him because everyone respects him and respects how hard he works, and respects how much he cares about us. But good impersonation, it's got to be too long. It's got to have a lot of quotes from books. Usually, sometimes he'll have a new word that he learns that day, I think, and he'll use it 10 times during the speech. Let me think what else. You got to use the reality of it is he loves facades. Gosh, there's just some other good ones. So we had a guy at the end of the year, we have a coach's roast, and we had a guy make fun of him one year. It was pretty sweet. He did a good job. So, but yeah, no,
is he pretty good at messing with you too in return?
Yeah, he always takes jabs at me during the media stuff. It's not fair. I come in and I get told that he just took another shot at me. But no, he's a great guy, and he's really you don't always see it because of there's so few interaction in football. Because only one game, but he's super personable and super fun guy. But also that guy's a warrior. I mean, he works so hard for so long. His staff does. And so, like I said, the only reason why the trust and the joking and the making fun of works is because of the respect that's going both ways. And so, but yeah, he gets plenty of shots in at me too.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yep.
Our next question comes from Jared Stansberry of Cyclone Fanatic. Go ahead, Jared.
Hey, Charlie. Kind of a off-the-wall question here for you, but I know you've been right in the middle of the swag surfing thing here over the last couple weeks. I was wondering what the origin of that is, and just what that's kind of been like to have that fun with your teammates.
Yeah, our teammates, especially in the locker room, especially in past years without COVID, there's a lot of dancing and stuff. And I think the coaches, I think Coach Campbell kind of just saw how much fun everyone was having with it and kind of just bought into it too. I honestly think because that song was a good song to dance to with the team because you can have no skill dancing and still have fun right in the middle, which is I take full advantage of. So But I think they played it one time, and I can't remember what game it was. It was a while back, and everyone got up and danced. Now they play it every quarter. It's awesome. So I think it's a lot of fun. I think it kind of helps bring back, especially in COVID this year, people forget that like it's a big game. Every game's a big game. There's a lot there's so much on the line, but it's still just a game. And I think when we do things like that, it helps to loosen us up and play even better. So I think it's awesome. I love to be a part of it. I think Dylan loved it the most though, because he tries to like direct it and stuff. It's great.
Our next question comes from Matt Bellinson of the Iowa State Daily. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Charlie, in talking with Coach a little bit ago, he said the biggest growth that he's seen from you, really since you've arrived in Ames, is your confidence in yourself. I'm just curious kind of how you've been able to grow your confidence in yourself and how that's improved, you think, your game.
Yeah, I think it's a good point by him. We talk a lot about Coach Manning actually has this phrase. He talks about like earned confidence, and because there's difference, so much today. There's so much cockiness out there where these players think they're so good, even if they're not. There's a difference between confidence and earned confidence, and cockiness is you get earned confidence from doing it every day in practice, and make sure you know what you're doing on film, and making sure that your body is right and you've prepared all you could, so you can get to Saturday and be like, I've done everything I can to be the best I can. Now I'm just gonna go out there and let it have fun, let it rip. And I think that's one thing that especially this year working with I love Golish, learned a lot from Golish, but I think especially this year working with Manning and Mouse, taking it to the next level in my game personally in terms of, especially I missed some time in the off season where I come into the game and just talking about I've done everything I can to prepare. I'm confident in my abilities. I'm just gonna go out there and play. And so that's what Mouse works with me a lot on, is about believing in yourself, because like if you don't, who else will? And so I think a lot of it stems from the coaching staff. They do a good job of trying to build players up. I think that's awesome.
Our next question will come from Sam Kahn Jr. of ESPN.com. Go ahead, Sam.
Hi, Charlie. I've heard Coach Campbell and players stress a lot about details and little things. How does your program improve on those things? How do they work on those things in the meeting rooms and in practice on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, well, the thing about football, is there's so few games and there's so few opportunities to make plays, is that like they talk about the precision and the detail is the difference between winning and losing. And the only way that you can have precision and detail when you're playing is if you have that detail and stuff in the rest of your life. And so that bleeds into everything in our program. We don't accept tardiness in this program. You're on time or you're not practicing that day. It doesn't matter who it is. It does when you show up for weight training and lifting. If they tell you to do 10 reps and you do 9, that's not acceptable. If they tell you to do 10, you do 11. It's about everything you do from the moment you step foot in this building to when you step out has to be done with focus and detail, and then that bleeds over to practice detail, running the route at the right depth, blocking the right gap, making the right tackle. And so, it can get infuriating sometimes, because you think about this as meaningless, or this is so mundane. But the thing is that stuff bleeds into the games, and that's what separates the difference between a 7-point win and a 7-point loss. And so, that's I think it's a culture that Campbell sets from the top, and then everyone below him follows. And I think it's really, really hard, but it's one thing that sets apart teams that win games and lose games.
All we got for you this week, Charlie. Thanks for your time.
Yep. See you guys.